Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Rails of New England was released in a time period where train games were all the rage. And funny enough, Rails of New England is masquerading as a train game when in fact it's actually an economic game. But I think it was easier to sell the trains than it was an economic game at the time. I just find that humorous. The box is way too big for what you need for this game, and the rules are terrible, perhaps the worst rule book I've ever read in my life, and I'm not entirely sure you can learn how to play this game from the rules at all. So know that going in, you're going to need to watch a video and kind of understand the concepts that are going on here, because it is atrocious. There is a new version of it that has been released that will help with the rules. I heard it's a lot better, but I did not utilize those rules. I like to review what's inside the box. I'm not going to go hunting for another rule set normally. So let's talk about the game itself. It is brutal. So the first thing that's going to happen every round is a random event's going to come out, and you're just going to take it on the chin and be beat up a little bit. And you're going to make some economic decisions as you go through, hoping to maximize your profits, but boy, is this game boring. I never at one time had fun with it. Maybe it's not the type of game for me, but I was struggling with the rules so much. I was starting to hate the rule book. I think that just kind of snowballed and compounded to me. So I posted my written review, and most people kind of agreed with me. Where is the fun in this game? Everything looks like it should be fun. The trains, the economic decisions you're making, the events that are coming out. Everything pieced apart looks like it should be really good. When you put it all together, maybe it was the rule book. It was not a fun experience. Decisions weren't tough to make. Sometimes the events would just blow up things for you. It really is one that should be forgotten to the test of time, and I don't think this is one you should go back and check out at all. Absolute purge for us. Here is Rails of New England, very big long box. You can see it's got a very nice cover on it with the train, Rio Grande Games, very big, very long. You don't see these kind of boxes much anymore. You open it up, you're going to get a gigantic map of the New England area. If you're not familiar with this map, you might have some trouble. There's a lot of connections. Got some charts over here. You got some things at the top that you're doing. Lots of different areas here. Lots going on. Once you open up the box, you're going to have a rule book, which we'll take a look at with some errata that came in it. You're going to have the 5 little player mats for each of the states. Very thick, nice. Got some sequential play and everything kind of laid out on it. Then you're going to see paper money. Boo! You're going to see these little chits and things and these little cubes and some die. You know, you don't see a lot of these little cubes too much anymore. And you have a bunch of different sets of cards. The cards are nice. You can see here's dairy and the information that's on them. The cards are good quality, nothing. But you have plenty of stuff here we can put them at. And I wouldn't say this is like a custom insert, but there's definitely room for everything. Is this too big? Yes, it's way too big. You can see what comes in it. Even when the board is all folded up, even the board doesn't take up all of that space. So you can see it kind of just lays inside there. So you know, even if you had the board here, you could cut it down by that much. But that's what you get, and the components are okay. Nothing to take home about. Here's the rule book. So first thing we'll point out is the corrections and the errata. It's just on a regular piece of paper. Thank you for doing that. Then you're going to have a picture of the components. Not all of the components are going to be listed here in the picture. They did some of them for some reason. I don't know. You're going to have the starting of the game as you go through, how you set up, and then the sequence will play down here. It's okay. You know, it kind of takes you through step by step. Not a lot of pictures, not a lot of examples. Most people readily admit this rule book is horrendous. There's some rules that aren't included. You have to look around for things. There's components that you're not going to know what to do with. Some people are really surprised that this got printed in this way. The rulebook is terrible. I'm not 100% sure I know how to play this game from here. Go to BGG, you can get some hints, but this is not the greatest rulebook in the world. Okay, you're going to set up this really big board. That will be gigantic. Then everybody's going to get a different state. You got Vermont, Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut. Have you ever wanted to be New Hampshire in a board game? Or by golly, you can be New Hampshire in this board game. So if you look here in the player rates, we're going to teach you how to play. Each round of the game, if you will have an economic phase, a development phase, and a bookkeeping phase. And you'll keep going through all of these until you get to the end of the game. The game will end once all the mail contracts, special subsidies are claimed as special routes. And after the 14th round, that will be reduced by 1. You can kind of see here.
until you get the 16th round, whether it's done or not, the game will end. So the first thing you do in a step will be these economic conditions that you have, and you're always going to have one that will be out and kind of tell you what's going to happen in the future, whether it's prosperity, normal, or depression, prosperity, depression, or normal one, and you will roll the dice when it comes up to determine what it will be, and you will kind of see what will be coming out at least one round ahead. The first round you won't have any of these. Then you have these events that will occur. There are some that are required to occur, so floods in the Kennebec Valley, floods in the other valley, lots of floods up here, snow in the mountains. And these are the things that normally will hamper the players or reroute kind of what you're doing. So just to show that, so your economic conditions will come out and you have an event each round. Some of these will be required every game and some will be kind of randomly. During the development phase, you can play 2 actions on your turn. You'll do so normally by playing cards. One thing you can do is build a business. If you look here, it's hats. You have a cost of $10 in order to start the business, and then you pay that cost, and you will have that business going forward. Or you can pay $5 to play one of these action cards. In this case, it's a watered stock. That company in which you thought you might control interest has printing press running in the basement. To buy the stock, pay the cost again, or forfeit it to the player. So these are action cards that you can play, and you'll notice these because they say action at the top. Also, you have these cards that say mail contracts, and you can take these mail contracts if you have over half of the areas in that state. So if you went to Connecticut, you have to have over half of those places in Connecticut, or Massachusetts, or Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, or Vermont. Then you can take this. If another player has it, you'll be able to take it from them. So the third possible action is these mail contracts. The fourth possible action are these state subsidies. You can take these by simply doing what's on it. So Connecticut River Canal and Steamship. Legislature grants right-ways for canals. Requires a depot in Old Saybrook, Connecticut, or Springfield, Mass. The player receives a depot in the other town. So that could be a state subsidy if you have one of these. You can also claim a special route, draw an extra card, or sell to the bank. If you want to sell a business to the bank, you may do so for 1/2 of its cost. So in this case, this is 13. You would half that cost, and you could sell the business back to the bank. A player can also take a build action, which is to put these depots out on a city. If you look here, each city will cost $3 to put the depot out, plus the connection cost. So if I'm here, and I want to put here, then it would be $3 plus a connection fee of $2 for a total of $5. So you can build those, and as you're connecting them, that's what you're trying to do during the game to make routes. Now each city can hold 2 depots at a time, unless it's a market city or a state capital like Concord. It can hold additional ones, but like this little place right here can only hold 2. Next phase is the bookkeeping phase. And if you look here on your player card, you're going to be paying interest, get income, loans, and your turn optional. So that's kind of what will be set up for the remaining part. The loan interest, anybody with a loan, each loan of $20 requires an interest payment of $4. You have incomes from your business sales. You're depending on if you're in prosperity, normal, or depression, you can kind of see if it's unconnected and it's connected. The card will tell you what you'll be able to get in income. If you need to take a loan out, those are $20, and you can definitely take those loans out, and you would take one of these loan chips that would signify that you've taken a loan out. So next I'll show this handy dandy chart that you have at the back of the book. At the end of the game, you get points for your total cash, your cost of all your businesses, $3 per depot, any total value of your special routes, and any subsidies that you have. You add up all this, subtracting $20 for each remaining loan, and whoever has the most money is the winner of the game. So let's talk a little bit. That's kind of what you do on any given turn and kind of how things work. Gives you a quick overview. What are you trying to do in this game? What you're trying to do is really trying to meet these connections that you're trying to do by putting these out. If you ever play like a Power Grid or any other train game, it's not unlike that necessarily, and you're trying to make certain patterns or certain areas you're trying to connect to in order to create income. Also, by building these businesses, you'll be able to create an income stream that will help you kind of evolve through the game and be able to be where you want to be and pay these additional costs. Now, where this differs from a normal rail game where you're just kind of shipping goods back and forth, in this game, it's all about the businesses. You're really trying to connect these businesses, and you're going to get more income over here on the right side if you're able to connect this. So in this case, if it was normal, you get $6 if it's not. If it is connected, only $4 if it's not. So you're really a business tycoon more than a rail guy But you want to make sure that whatever business you build are connected by rail because they're going to make it a more valuable proposition for you. So that's really what you're doing in here. It's a convoluted economic business game with a train rail set next to it.
Who should buy this game? I have a hard time recommending this game to anybody. And I'm going to leave it just at this. If you have any interest in this game, maybe because the historical period or the geography of the game or where it's located at may be appealing to you, play this one before you purchase it. Check it out. See if you can make it through the rulebook and see if it's something that you would enjoy. But definite try before you buy here. Purge for us.